should be covered with at least product liability. And then also too, we got the unknowns. So again, we talk about, the healthiness of CBD. There's a lot of evidence out there to support that. But at the end of the day, we don't know what the long-term effects are.
Right.
We don't know if there could be, possible, liver or kidney damages or any of that kind of stuff that could run down in the future. I saw, I think Steph or another person I saw, a player in the hemp field here, shared an article in Denver, Colorado, and they tested, numerous shops in Denver, and something like 80% of these tested to be an unsafe concentrate for mold within the smokable hemp.
Wow,
so
that is crazy.
At the end of the day, right. So at the end of the day, if we're smoking something that has a high concentrate of mold in it, there could be possible immediate effects as well as, latter effects as well to that. Right. Product liability is going to cover all that from, all those legal fees, your defense costs, it's going to cover your ass is what it's going to cover.
Well, Don, I hear it all the time. Look, it's too expensive. It's crazy. I can't afford it. What is this really affordable for people?
It depends on what your idea of affordable is. A truck payment's too expensive, a mortgage is too expensive, health insurance is kind of too expensive, but a need's a need.
Yeah.
Where these things start out right around $5,000 as a base minimum premium, and I've saw some companies now out there trickling into $3,500 as a minimum premium. So
okay.
As more players get into this, I think it's going to drive down costs. Right away there's they had the main players, and they had a monopoly on the market. They're taking on the beginning risks, but as more players jump in and want to insure this stuff, it's going to drive down costs just like anything does.
That's right. It's the power of numbers on this. Once we get those carriers, almost every carrier on board, then the price will become. They pull that risk, obviously. But look,
there you go.
I'm with you. We've got to have that coverage. How affordable or how costly is it to you? That's the question. And that's what people need to understand who are tuning into the Veterans for Cannabis podcast today is, look, is it costly enough to where you lose your business and your entire livelihood? Or do you pay the premiums and make sure that you're covered on that risk? That's the question.
Absolutely. And what I try to express to people too, you're not just a farmer. It's not like you're just sticking some seeds in the ground hoping that they grow. You got a business now. I mean, it's a business.
Right.
Business is getting insured. I know you're farming, but it's a business. You're selling a product.
So we're talking about, insurance and some of the things that are available, but what are people covering from a risk standpoint? Why are they carrying insurance? What is the risk?
So again, if you don't have product liability in place, I mean, they can come after you for a lot of different things, depending on how you're protected. Seizable assets, garnish wages, future income, and take your business down. I think that's one of the big things, as well as, if you want to cover your products, if you got, investors on board, and your barn burns down and you lost everyone's products up. If you're a processor and you're taking in other people's products, how do you explain to John the farmer that, you burnt up his $1 million in hemp, and you don't have any money left over to pay him? So you're risking a lot. You're risking your pocketbooks as well as your business reputation as well.
That is so true. So true. So Don, tell us, how in the world did you get in the insurance industry? This is a question I always ask people, like, how did you get there? I know when I woke up, when I was 6 years old, I didn't say I wanted to be an insurance guy, right? How do you fall into the industry?
I got a long, funny story with that one, but I'm not going to get into that today.
That sounds good.
At the end of the day, I really got into it on accident. I graduated as a teacher, an English teacher, and at the end of the day, so I love teaching. I love the educational standpoint of anything. I dive into the educational standpoint of anything. If I hear something, I Google it, I search facts, and I like to relay that and simplify it for people and break it down. And be a true advisor on what they need and don't need. But I got into insurance about 7 years ago now. I really honed in on it. I started out in North Dakota actually, and kind of worked my way up. Bought a larger book of business out here in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, Don, this is your agency that you have. It's the Don Pierce Agency.
Yep, that's correct.
That is awesome, man. That's awesome. You know, I tell people all the time that if more insurance representatives would approach their job from a teaching standpoint, that it would change the entire industry. So I love what you just said. You were a teacher by trade, fell into the industry, you know, and you know what? You took that teaching opportunity and teaching method and brought that into the insurance world. So for me and my standpoint, I applaud you, sir, because that's what we need in this industry is people who are willing to teach, take their time, help educate, and help the people understand what they get in a product, right? You got to know that if something happens over here, I remember Don saying we're going to be covered. If a tree falls and takes out a cap on something and, you know, whatever, contaminates the product, Don said we were going to be good. So that's huge, man. I really appreciate what you're doing for the clientele that you have.
Yeah, and you know, the whole educational standpoint, you know, the hemp and CBD stuff. I mean, we've already gone through lawsuits just this past year with clients with some businesses that I insure already. So it can be scary sometimes. I'm not a scare tactic type guy. I care. I've got more than enough business. I don't need to do that.
Right.
So more than anything, I use the educational standpoint. You know, I tell what can happen, what can't happen. Sometimes people will say, you know, you're trying to scare me into buying this, and you know, I say at the end of the day, this stuff is scary. You know, you should maybe be scared of some risks, just like your homeowner's insurance, man.
That's right.
You know, you should be scared that you know you could your sump pump could fail. You know, you could have a flood, your house could burn down, you could have damaged siding from hail. I mean, all that stuff is a possible risk. So I don't try to use scare tactics or anything. I do an educational standpoint. This is what can happen. This is what can't. If it's worth the money, buy it. If you don't think it is and you want to roll the dice, roll the dice.
You know, Don, you just mentioned hail, and that's something I know you guys have a lot in Wisconsin. Is hail typically a covered event in the hemp farms?
There's companies now that are rolling around that, and from what I'm even told, even some state programs, state by state, that are diving into this on the crop insurance side. Okay. So again, if you have some hail damage where that could stress the plant out, the plant will mature a little bit early, sure. Which could obviously make it go right. There's companies that are diving into this now and insuring for those specific perils.
Gotcha. So, Don, we've got a couple minutes left here on the Veterans for Cannabis podcast. If you don't mind, let our listeners understand how they can get a hold of you. Let's talk about you a little bit and your organization. Do you have a website?
Yeah. So, So the DonPierceAgency.com. Don, D-O-N, last name is Pierce, P as in Paul, I-E-R-C-E, agency.com. They can always reach me at email too, which is D as in dog, Pierce1@amfam.com. 904681527 is my phone number, and I'm all over Facebook as well, at Don Pierce Agency.
Awesome. Now, Don, you don't just do hemp coverage, is that correct? You do a full line of, you're a full insurance agency?
Correct. Yep. So like I said, we've had a niche and a lot of success in hemp. We were featured in a magazine on a national insurance publication this last September, just due to our role in the hemp industry and our success with it. Through American Family Insurance, I am the number one hemp agent in the nation. And that's gained a lot of traction.
Well, I sure as heck hope that you won a trip this year for all the hemp coverage that you've done. Well, Don Pierce.
Bought my own trip this year.
That's right. Don Pierce with the Don Pierce Agency. We really appreciate you taking the time out today to join us here on the Veterans for Cannabis podcast. Don, we'd love to have you back maybe at the end of this year and just talk about if you had any crazy claims this year and some of the pitfalls maybe that some of the farmers saw. If you're interested in that, we'd love to invite you back.
Yeah, it's been fun, and like I said, I hope to be back and connect with you about the the crazy year of 2020.
You got it. Don, thanks so much. We appreciate you all joining us here on the Veterans for Cannabis podcast today. I'm Joshua Littrell signing off. Take care and have a great day.